I don't mind at all, but do you mind if I ask why you're telling me this? You always were curious. I wouldn't say that's curiosity. I think that's just like, you made me walk down to the park knowing I have a heart condition. And you're just complaining. Context, I suppose. Life isn't a fairy tale, Hisao. Some people have to learn that the hard way. She takes a long drink from the can in her hand, her face becoming more depressed than distant. I broke up with my boyfriend a few days ago. After I leave, we're not going to be able to see each other again. But that's how life is. You can't just set your life up and expect it to stay that way forever. Sometimes stuff happens that you have to roll with, even if it means hurting yourself or others. She takes a long breath before looking up at the bright orange sky. Damn. If I smoked, I could take a nice long drag right about now and look kinda cool. I want to respond, to help her in whatever way I can, but I feel utterly useless. This kind of situation is one I've never been in, and I simply don't have the experience to say anything meaningful to comfort her. Akira looks over and evidently picks up on this, much to my embarrassment. I must look pretty pathetic right now, whining about this to someone I barely know. Hardly, and I'm pretty much an expert on looking pathetic. She gives a chuckle, the act feeling like a personal victory for me. You're a good kid, Hisao. When I said I approved of you being with my sister, I wasn't joking or just being nice. She picks herself up off the seat with a grunt, one that seems ill-fitting given her age, and throws the now empty can into the bin after one last swig. It's just unfortunate that doesn't really count for much in this world. When I said I was leaving for Scotland, I was doing it because a good position opened up in our company's headquarters. When our folks... I'm not even printing anything, calm down. When our folks told me that when we were at their place, though... What? When our folks told me that when we were at their place, though, they also gave Lily a summons to rejoin them in Iverness. No way. I knew it. Her evasiveness when she asked about her future, that awkwardness that had steadily grown between us, that uncharacteristic outburst of anger, all of them suddenly fit into place. The same family that she reminisced about after Hanako's birthday party, the same family that left her and Akira to themselves after taking flight to greener pastures. Now I feel stupid for never cornering Lily on what was bugging her. I never even considered if something had happened during her trip to her family's home at Iverness. And now, a sense of unease grows in my chest. If her family has summoned her to join them in Scotland, all the way on the other side of the earth, has she accepted? Lily hasn't told me whether she plans to accept, and it seems she hasn't told you either. That's why I called you down here to talk, Hisao. Context. Huh. I sit back, my feelings of worry and frustration no doubt written all over my face. Lily's a strong person, Hisao, but she's not infallible. I guess it's my job to worry about her being her older sister, but I think that my dog is barking that you deserve to know. I understand. You okay? You sound depressed. No, I'm just thinking. That's good. Thinking is good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. She looks at her watch, barely moving her wrist. I've got to go. Will you be okay? I'll be fine, don't worry. I'll have to talk to Lily about it and get everything sorted out. She gives a smile, but it doesn't feel all that genuine or sincere. Really, both of us are dancing around the fact that Lily's on the precipice of the biggest decision of her life and is trying to take the entire burden on herself. And part of that burden is the matter of our relationship. By the time I look up, Akira's already walking off with her hand held up. For the first time in a long while, I finally have an answer to something. Perhaps not even that. But at least I know now I have the right question to ask. Will you leave or stay? Okay. Some drama's happening. I don't know if that's good or bad. Hurry, Lily. It's raining. I'm moving as fast as I can. I can barely make out Lily's voice over the deafening pounding of the rain. Even though I dislike pulling her around, the situation calls for it. I turn forward, my free hand over my head in a futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. My vision seems to be in grayscale. This really is rotten weather for summer, and the last kind of climate I want for a date. A pity. I even checked the weather forecast beforehand, one of the very few times I've ever done so, only for it to say that Sunday afternoon would be fine. Looking to Lily, her shoulders are now completely drenched, because they're exposed to the rain. I see it right now. Splash. Splash. With her right hand holding tightly to mine and her left gripping her retracted cane. This horrid downpour came on just as we were between our destination and Yamaku, so we decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running this fast, Lily's using all her concentration just to avoid tripping over. Hisao, do you know where you're going? She's even reduced to shouting to try and be heard over the combined noise of the wind and the rain. Okay, the rest of my voice is completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain. The what? The Shanghai. How far is it? It shouldn't be far now. It doesn't take long before I call out to her once again. It looks like we're safe. It's just up ahead. I quickly pull to a stop just in front of the familiar exterior, the lantern outside still giving off its reliable glow, and wait for Lily to catch her breath before going in. Ladies first. The tiny bell inside rings out when I hold the door open for her, a smile and a polite nod being my reward for entering myself. As I step in behind her and wipe my feet, only a quick glance is necessary to notice the distinct lack of activity. The Shanghai doesn't seem to get much in the way of patronage, and today is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Summoned by the bells ringing, and a most expected person comes to greet us. Hello, welcome to the Shanghai. Yuko looks chipper today. Trying to predict her moods is pretty hard, but it's a nice change from the norm. Hello, Yuko. Hey. Good afternoon, you two. Bow. She takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she rights herself again and gets a better look at us. What happened to you? You both look... Her eyes drift towards the glass of the door behind us. Oh dear. We're inside now, at least. I think that's the most important thing. It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this. Oh wait, sorry, is there anything you'd like? French vanilla tea, please. I'll have the same. Right, coming right up. She quickly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she is at least dedicated to her jobs. I lead Lily to an empty seat before two of us settle down. As usual, there's a large difference between my exhausted flopping down into my seat and Lily's delicate sliding into hers, her cane set beside her. For a while, I just idly watched the rain falling outside. The occasional person runs down the street trying to stay dry as possible, hands often tightly gripping a rain-soaked umbrella. Lily sits just as quietly as I, her eyes closed as she intently listens to all that's happening. It's a comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us, just the type that we'd so often shared together in the past months. For Lily, at least. I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind, at times contrasting them to both our time spent together